How do you make $100,000 in sales with your e-commerce business in the next 90 days, even if you're starting from scratch?
You again.
Hey, what's going on everyone? Hayden here, coming back at you with a brand new video. And in this one, you might have seen the title and you might be asking yourself, why 90 days specifically? Well, depending on when you're seeing this, there is roughly somewhere near 90 days left in the year. At least when I'm filming this and roughly when I'm uploading it, there is somewhere around 3 months left. It is the very beginning right now of Q4. Now, you might be watching this in a month from after I posted it. Maybe there's only 45 days left in the year. Well, you can still hit this goal by the end of the year. All you really have to do is do what I'm about to explain faster, right? Just advance it, make that happen a lot quicker. So what you can expect from this video, if you guys have not seen the last video posted on the channel, this is, I don't want to quite say part 2, but this builds off of that. The last video, I explained a whole lot of products and the 2 types of products you can sell throughout Q4. If you're just getting started with e-commerce or you're looking to build some sort of pop-up shop that maybe you'll run for a few months, learn the skill and make some money, that video goes through a bunch of product research. I give away multiple winning products. So go back on the channel either right now or after this video to watch that. This one specifically is more so the marketing side of things. I knew I had to touch on this because this is where you're directly going to get the sales, right? If you know the marketing, but you don't have a product to sell, it doesn't matter. Your marketing skill is useless, and vice versa if you have a good product but don't know how to market. So I want to do my best to give you some insight into both of those topics so that you can make a more informed decision the next time you decide to build a store, test a product, run an ad, or do whatever it is that you're going to do. Okay, so that is the goal inside of here. If you like that idea, I would greatly appreciate some early support if you guys drop a like on the video. We're actually going to be jumping in and out of, I'll put like a screenshot or something of this Google Doc I made just explaining a couple of these things. Again, you can advance the time frame if you'd like to. All you have to do is do this faster, okay? So with that being said, 100,000 in 90 days specifically, let's dive right into this. Step 1 with your e-commerce business. For those of you who've been following me for a long time, you know this is always kind of my initial priority because when you're testing a product, even if you do something that you know someone else is selling, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make sales and that that product will work for you, even if you're good at marketing when the product is selling for someone else. It's kind of weird, but I've had multiple products, probably 3 or 4 times, where I knew it was working for other people. It was a winning, trending product, but I just couldn't get it to work for me. And that's okay. So one of the key metrics I look at before I really start to go hardcore with it, start to spend a lot of money on ads, like get custom logos made, focus on content for social media. Before I touch on all that stuff, I always want to make sure that I reach the first milestone. And that's step 1 in here, which is get 100 sales on your store as long as the Facebook pixel is tracking it. I don't care how you get these sales or where they come from. It could be from a YouTube video you did that blew up and got organic views and sales. It could be from a Twitter deck or like an Instagram influencer, maybe a big Facebook page who shouted you out. It can be from anywhere as long as you get somewhere around that 100 sale mark. It doesn't matter if they're from different countries. That amount of data really helps start optimizing your pixel. So for those of you who are new to Facebook ads, Facebook actually has some really cool AIs and some really cool, it's basically machine learning, I guess, where they can learn who your customer is. So the more sales you get, it's like a snowball. They can understand even better every time you get another sale who your ideal customer is, because it's interesting, but Facebook can pull a lot of information from a customer, even if they haven't directly provided it. They can go to their Facebook page, their email account, and all these different things because all the big companies share data. They can see how old this person is, what gender they are, where they go to school, what interests they have. Have they posted about, being interested in soccer before and then they bought your soccer product? So they can group these people and kind of come up with an average. However, as you know, whenever you're trying to take an average statistic, for example, how many people break their leg every year? You don't want to just like survey one state if you're trying to get the US average. You want to go to every state and interview every person to ask that question, just as an example, right? You would want the maximum amount. So the more people you get purchasing your product, again, it's like a snowball, the more data Facebook's going to have, and it's going to be able to help you accelerate it even further. So The reason I mentioned that you can pull these sales from elsewhere is because you don't necessarily have to start with Facebook. Facebook has multiple strategies to it, and it is, in my opinion, a little bit easier to get Facebook working for you if you already have sales on the Pixel. That doesn't mean you can't do it with just starting from scratch on Facebook. That's what I teach inside of the only program we have. I show you how to do it from scratch because that's what I do. However, you do not have to follow that route. So maybe if you want to do an Instagram influencer, you can do that. I have a bunch of influencers where I'll spend anywhere from like $2,000 to $3,500, and I'll make back like $8,000 to $13,500. So that's like usually the average. And I get that that might be a very large number up front, especially if someone has like a small budget. Spending $2,000 or $3,000 on a shout out might not be realistic, but you can do that on a smaller scale. Just go to a page that doesn't have millions of followers. Maybe they only have hundreds of thousands, and instead of paying $2,000, you can pay $200 and slowly pick it up from there, right? So that could be something great to test. And keep in mind, I just want to drop this in to set the expectations correctly. You don't need to make money in these first 100 sales. In fact, you shouldn't even expect to, as weird as that sounds, because you still have to build data. You have to start building these averages on Facebook, and it takes time for that to happen. So I don't necessarily look to make money right away, as good as it is and as fun as it might be. And I do about half of the time make profit in those first few weeks. The goal is just to kind of end up somewhere around break even throughout that process. Okay. So that is step number one. All right. Now step two, and this is what I focus on again in the event where I did not start with Facebook. This would take a little bit more time. If you were already doing Facebook, this will be pretty quick. And step two is to get your Facebook sales to roughly $300 to $500 a day. So if you're selling a $100 product, that's only 3 to 5 sales. And if you're doing a $20 product, it's a whole lot more, right? So it doesn't quite matter how many individual sales it is. I'd say try and get it to like 5 to 15 sales a day. So it does depend on how much you're selling the product for, just not entirely, only if you're doing something really high ticket. So the reason I like to get to this point is because that means you're starting to see consistency with Facebook. Ideally, you're at least breaking even here. I would usually like to be profiting like $50 to $150 a day, just because it starts to show signs that Facebook is optimizing really well for me. I'm starting to get consistent sales, and Facebook's never fully consistent. No marketing platform ever is. So you might have a day that's 250 and then 450, then 500, then 350. It's not going to jump from 100 to 800 to 100 to 900. If you have that big of a swing, something's wrong. But the common rule of thumb is it could move about 30%. So that $300 to $500 range, it could probably bounce pretty heavily between there, especially when you're still optimizing the pixel and getting data. So the reason that I like to do this, actually, hang on, by the way, I just want to explain this. For those of you actually running Facebook, you can achieve those numbers easily just off of interest targeting. You don't need to be doing lookalikes. You don't need to have anything crazy with data, buying data, retargeting. You don't even need that stuff set up to make $300 to $500 a day in sales. That can be purely off of interest targeting, okay? And now, the reason we like to do that is because of number 3, and that is where things start to pick up a little bit more exponentially, right? That's where you can go from $300 to $500 a day to very easily $1,000 a day in like a week, right? Double or triple your sales. And that is with basic breakdowns and duplicates. So let's say you have a bunch of ad sets inside of your campaign, and maybe one of these ad sets has 9 sales, one has 4, one has 3, one has 11. It's kind of all over the board, but most of them have a lot more than one sale, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20. Well, there's now actually averages, and there's different pieces of data inside of each of those ad sets. So all you have to do on Facebook is when you're in your ads manager, over on the right, there is a tab about in the middle called the breakdown tab. You're going to hit that and go to buy deliveries. We have tutorials, and I'm sure you can just Google it. Find that button, and you're going to want to look at the different categories that are there, because a lot of people don't realize just because you have a campaign, the most broken down it is not your ad sets or even your individual ads inside of there. You want to look at who is engaging, specifically who's purchasing with that ad set. So I'll look at, the age of these people, the gender, what device they're coming in, what location if I'm doing different countries, or what state if I'm doing just in the US. I'm essentially looking for a very simple metric. I want to see on any of the breakdowns, where is there more than one sale? So 2 or more, ideally 3, 4, 5 or more, where the average cost per purchase for that one category is outperforming the entire ad set. That's all I'm looking for. And if that criteria is met on any of them, it could be 20 times on just one ad set. I'm going to launch a duplicate for each of those specific things one by one off of that ad set. And now that might get you a little bit lost. If it does, don't worry about it. We can talk more about it. I can make more videos, or you can go ahead and go through the academy that we have linked down below. That's not me pitching it. That is just me giving you a resource, because if this is confusing you, well, maybe you shouldn't run Facebook quite yet. I always say spend time learning and making sure you have the budget to run the ads before you actually do it. Okay, don't just try and start it with a couple $100. So that's one thing I focus on, because that right there, if I have those 5 or 6 ad sets, each with a lot of sales, 5, 10, 20, I can immediately go do maybe 30 or 40. If I really tried to push it and go aggressive, I could launch 400, 500 new duplicates just off of those like 5 to 10 ad sets. So, start slow, do like, 1 or 2 duplicates off of each. That's how you can really start to narrow your ad sets down. Your reach is going to be smaller. However, you're targeting a very specific customer, someone who is known based on the averages, based on you looking at the breakdown of where the sales came from. You know that type of person is buying way more than anyone else. So by going more specific, it helps Facebook optimize even further on that ad set. So that is what should bring you to about $1,000 a day very easily. Just doing that, you could very easily get to multiple thousands per day. And that's without even changing any budgets. That's without doing any vertical scaling or even horizontal scaling. That's just duplicates and having more running ads. Again, this could be purely interest based. You don't even have to be doing anything too intense to get those results. And keep in mind, it might take you a couple weeks to get to that 100 sales, and then another week to get to like 300 to 500 consistently on Facebook, and then another week. So let's call it 5 weeks, maybe 6, to get to that like $1,000 a day. That's slow. It's not crazy slow. It's not crazy fast. That'd be very healthy, right? I'm sure most new people would be extremely ecstatic about that. I would be as well. That's great. However, now you're 6 weeks in, 5 to 6 weeks, which is almost halfway through that 90 days. So now you have to make up the difference of, the average here is about 1,000, maybe 1,100 a day to hit that 100,000 in the next 90 days, which is just the kind of topic here. And again, you could do this faster to make that goal happen faster. However, now you have to start scaling it more aggressively. This is definitely going to be something where you want to now start considering lookalike audiences, okay? You do not have to do retargeting to make your first 100,000. You don't have to. You don't have to do LLAs. However, I would recommend both of them. They're going to get you a better cost per purchase, and there's something where you can typically scale it a lot further. Now, for those of you who don't know what a lookalike audience is, this is why the averages are so important on Facebook. If you have 1,000 sales on your pixel, that's very good. That's a pretty mature pixel. It's a lot of sales. However, now Facebook can take the average of each of these people. What are they on average interested in? How old are they on average? Where are they from? They can pull all this data. And when you build a lookalike audience, it is specifically just those people. You are not targeting anyone else where you're going to waste your money and they're not interested or they don't fit that criteria. So it's a much more specific audience, and it can actually be a lot bigger than a regular interest depending on how big that interest is and how broad the lookalike audience is. So start doing lookalike audiences. You can go to your audiences tab when you're inside your Facebook Business Manager on the Ads Manager. You can create a custom audience, and then if you want, you can use that one for retargeting. I'll explain how to do that in a second. And you can also go and create your lookalikes, okay? This is where you can very quickly scale from like 1,000 to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, again, in like a week's time. Most of my stores, once they get to like that 500 a day mark, it's really quick to go to 1,000, maybe a week. And then I'd like to let it optimize for like 4 or 5 days, but then you can quickly go from like 1,000 to 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. You can do that in a week as well. It really just depends on how many duplicates you're willing to launch and how much new ad spend you can take on. So that's how you guys see my graphs when I show stores going from 1,000 a day to 20,000 a day in like a week. That's how you do it. You just go more aggressive with how many ads you're launching. That's like one of, a lot of things that go into it. So with your retargeting specifically, I know someone's going to ask this, so I want to bring it up. There's 2 main things that I would start with if you have data. I would be targeting all website visitors. So you're retargeting and showing another ad to the people who have already visited your website, but they didn't purchase. And then I would do another one where you're targeting people who have abandoned the cart. So not only did they go to the website, but there's another group of people who have maybe added it to their cart. Maybe they started filling out their information in the checkout, and for whatever reason, maybe they got distracted, they were busy or whatever, they didn't want to buy it. They abandon it. But those people specifically, it's going to be a much smaller group than the website visitors. However, those people have already started taking an action towards buying it. So those people are typically going to do do a lot better, but it's not as big of an audience, okay? Neither of those are really huge audiences, especially when you're just getting started with your ads like a month in. So I would recommend running those on a low budget, okay? So those are kind of the 4 steps there, because those in themselves can really quickly make you that 100,000. And I understand there's a lot of little things that go into it for everyone asking questions or who wants more information. Go down below, there's like a bunch of links in the description, but do the $7 trial for our academy. I mean, I don't care about the $7, but go ahead and go through it, because there's 7 videos inside of there, one of which is how to set up your ads. So if you're just getting started with that, or maybe you're not getting results, go through that. There's going to be a bunch of videos in there that will help you out. And then, if it's something you want to continue, you're making sales, you want me to show you exactly how I do everything, scaling to 20, 30, 40, 50K a day, live examples showing you my ad accounts, then we have the full academy as an option. So for anyone who has questions, again, I do plan on doing a live stream. I'll probably announce it in the next video or 2 on the exact date once we lock it in. But we're going to be doing a live stream later this month in October. I'm going to go through, answer a bunch of questions. I mean, anything you guys want to know, but we're going to focus primarily on products and marketing. So it'll just kind of be like an open mic Q&A. So if you guys have any questions at all, definitely write them down, bring them there. Make sure to drop a like on this video if you got any value. And don't forget, you got to check back on those next videos just to make sure you hear the announcement of when we're doing the live stream. I'll kind of mention it in every video leading up to it. So make sure to subscribe, hit the post notifications, do all that fun stuff. And if you have any other questions, I mean, I typically check back in the comments of each video over the first couple days. So if this is something recent for you, go ahead and drop a comment, or if you're watching this maybe a few weeks later, if you have a question, go comment on the most recent video. That's the best way for me to see it. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got value of, whatever 10, 20 minutes worth of talking about Facebook. There's a lot more that goes into it. It'd take me probably about 50 hours, which is how long the academy is, to go through and properly explain this and show you. So, I know there's probably a lot of unanswered questions, so I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure you guys get those answered. All right. Again, hope you enjoyed it. And with that being said, I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.